So just a little bit quick introduction. Again, my name is Malu Sevieri, and I'm the one managing the Medical Fair Brazil, the show that was supposed to happen here in Brazil the first week of May. Of course, with the whole pandemic crisis, we had to postpone the show and to change a little bit the format. So I'm gonna really quickly explain to you what we did, what we are expecting here, and then we are gonna talk a little bit how to bring your products to Brazil. For those who have tried, I know it's not easy, but it's manageable, and we are gonna teach you how to do it. So that's why we are here today, actually, to talk how to export to Brazil, not just for trade shows, but in general, to explain the license, the registration process, and everything. This is gonna be our agenda for today, so I'm the one welcoming you all. And then I have my colleague, Vanessa Klein from Düsseldorf, that she's actually handling Medica in Germany, but she's spending some time with us in Brazil. Then Karina, Vanessa, and Sydney, they are the one from DHL. They're gonna talk a little bit about the logistics and the customs, how to enter with the products in Brazil temporarily or permanently. And then we have Mikey Endler from Noel, and they are the ones handling registration in Brazil. I will let Vanessa welcome you as well. She's right here with me. We do respect social distance, but today we are very close.
Hello, everybody. My name is Vanessa Klein, and Malu already introduced me. I'm usually working in Düsseldorf, Germany for the trade show Medica, and right now I'm located here in Brazil. Before we're starting and getting into the topic, I just want to give you a short overview of our portfolio, which you can see right now. I'm sharing the screen with you. So we started our Medica show in 1969, and since then we're developing a lot of successful healthcare events around the world. You can see them all listed here. And in 2017, we actually decided to group them under one brand, which is called Medical Alliance. And last year we added one new fair to this whole portfolio, which is the Medical Fair Brasil here in Sao Paulo. And if you are asking us why we choose Brazil and South America, this question is really easy to answer, because if you look at the Brazilian markets volume in medical technology, it's about 5.7 billion US dollars. So we have a huge market here, and we want to use it. And we've been working together with ME Brasil for a long time. So we have a really strong alliance here. We have a really loyal partnership here. And I'm happy to pass over to my colleague Malu Sevieri, who's handling the whole show here as a director, and who will explain you about the new concept of the show and what we are expecting with the Medical Fair Brasil.
So for each presentation, we always have the contacts of the speakers, and if you want to contact them later, you can. So here's Vanessa's Klein contact as well. Let's talk a little bit about Medical Fair Brazil. So of course that with the change, we had to think about a new format as well. Now, I do believe strongly that it's really hard to, if a show it's yearly, if you're having the show every year, to change only the dates, so to get the same format, the same way you used to do, that was programmed to do in May, and take to September, it wouldn't work. First, because of the high investments and so many other issues. So I say that we compact a little bit our first edition from 4 days, having the halls half a day, we are gonna go to 2 days, full day show. So we have a new place, a new date, and a new concept, because we do feel the importance of discussing healthcare industry in Brazil, even in a moment that the healthcare industry is more demanding and with so many changes. Of course, every industry is changing, but I think everybody agrees that the health one is the one at this moment suffering the most pressure. Here are some of our institutional partners. Of course, I'm pretty sure if you already been to Brazil to a show or to do business, you know some of them. But if you don't know, we have the list here explaining what they do. All this material we are gonna send to you after, so don't worry, you don't have to take notes. We have media partners, and we have social media that we are very active here in Brazil, so you can always follow us and see the updates. The idea, of course, some information and data of the show, the visitor groups that we have, and then we have a very big and strong continent for the congresses. And this is something that we did have to reevaluate. Some continents went directly to the next edition in May 2021, and some of them we had to adapt for this moment. So how the hospitals are handling the situation, what happened to the industry. If you think about local industry in Brazil, they are suffering a huge pressure. Some of them were not prepared financially as well. So you have some players leaving now the market, some new players arriving. For the ones who do import, they are suffering as well too, because most of the times products are taking longer to arrive here. So all of these matters we are going to discuss at the show. And the idea is to show best practice, so who managed well the crisis, and of course bad practice as well, and to discuss that, because in every problem or every crisis you always have to think about the learning process and how to avoid future mistakes. So we change a little bit the format, as I told you before. We will do only 2 days, but the full day from morning to night. We are preparing now our security protocol, so how it's going to be handling entrance of people, how it's going to be the floor plan. All of this, we are doing a document that we'll share with people later, based on the experience that we have abroad and based on the local authorities as well. We put it booths equally to everybody, so nobody can do their own construction for two main reasons. First is that we don't want 500 different people inside from different companies doing constructions, because as much people we have inside the halls, more the risk to have to spread some disease. We don't know how it's going to be in September. And then to be easy and cost effective to the exhibitors as well. So everybody has the same one. We have companies that were asking to buy 2 spaces, and we said, no, this is something that we have to control, because we changed the format, we changed even the size. It's not supposed to be a huge event anymore. It's something that's going to be smaller, concentrated to discuss the industry and to be in contact with clients. We know it's a very hard and difficult time right now, but we believe you cannot pass a whole year without talking to your clients. For the internationals, I think it's even better to have a smaller period of time, because if you come to Brazil, you're not coming here for 1 or 2 days, you're staying here at least a week. If I have a show that it's running 4 days in the halls and you have to arrive a day before, you will be stuck in the hall the whole week. If you come to a show that it's 2 days from 2 days of the week, you can take advantage of the other 2 or 3 days of the week to visit clients, visit hospitals, and do meetings in their offices. We are here to help this as well. So if you have interest in visiting hospitals in São Paulo, talking to associations, we can help you scheduling this agenda. We will have the forums, as I said before, and we will control to have 6,000 people a day, so 12,000 people in general. Today, we already have this registered. To access the show in Brazil is for free. It's not like in Europe or other places that you have to pay. But we know, of course, even because it's for free, that his registrations numbers will go smaller, but then we have people registration on site as well. So I think this is a very reachable number. And for the size of the halls that we have, it's very safe because it doesn't get too crowded. I think most of you know Center Norte. We are using for this edition only the yellow halls. We find for this format that will be one-time format only, it suits better for the conference rooms they have inside the hall, so it's not different floors. You don't have to move with elevator or escalator. That this time of security reasons, I think it's a better option. And parking, the structure is better to accommodate a smaller event. This is the floor plan that we have by now. Of course, updates almost daily. And it's gonna be open spaces, no closed booths to maintain these security levels high. This is a little bit the message I wanted to pass to you. I wanna thank you again to be here. Now we are gonna talk what is more important, how to get your goods to Brazil. I will invite Vanessa dos Anjos to talk a little bit from the side of DHL and her colleagues. I will come back at the end to open for questions. And here's my contact as well. Don't forget, you're gonna get all the presentations later on. Vanessa, good morning.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I will share my screen now. Now it's working. Okay, so people, as Malu said, I am Vanessa. Hi, everybody. I am Vanessa. First of all, I would like to thank you all for giving your time and attention for this presentation. I also would like to thank Emi Brazil for this opportunity to share with you all the important details in how to import to Brazil, and it's my pleasure to be here. I am responsible for GTL Global Event Logistics here in Brazil, and also supporting for all South America. So today I would like to share with you a presentation about the logistics and customs procedures, since we are the official freight forwarder for Medica Brazil, that will take place in September, as Malu said, here in São Paulo. So here we have our agenda. So with all the subjects that we are going to present and discuss in the end. And I did hope you enjoyed this time and that all your expectations are met. So just to give you a brief about our organization setup, I would like to introduce you all for this big and red and yellow machine called the JTL that was born from Deutsche Post, the German Post. And then we have these important business units as the Post e-commerce, GTL Express, which is focused in express posts, GTL Global Forwarding, responsible for air freight, ocean freight, and road freight transport, and also GTL Supply Chain that can support you with customized logistics services. And here we have the GTL Global Event Logistics also being part of this division of this international logistics sector, which has the expertise to work with trade fairs, events, and shows that will support you for this kind of business. Yeah, import and export for temporary and permanent imports for Brazil. So to start this presentation, I would like to introduce you all, I'm sorry, here. Here we have all the global event logistics network, yeah, the global covered. So how important is to have a specific division to manage this kind of shipments? First of all, we have an experienced team for all trade fairs and events requirements. The trade fairs team we use to call that offers reliable and punctual delivery of all equipment, including exhibits, stands, medical machines, and promotional materials. So I'd like to highlight as well about the support we can give you worldwide and on every venue. So here you can take a look in all the places that we have GTL worldwide. So if you need any support for pickup goods and packing, we can support you in all this part because we have a team with this kind of expertise. Here we are going to present, and I think now we are approaching the most important part. That means all service we are able to provide you, since the pickup of goods in your warehouse to the delivery on the venue here in Brazil. So what kind of services GTL will support you? We can attend you in end-to-end services. That means the pickup customs clearance at the origin, the international freight by air or by ocean, the customs clearance here in Brazil, and the delivery at the venue. So here we have the warehousing. Of course, if you need keep storage the empty boxes with us, not only in Orange, but also here at destination, we can support you as well. You have a focus person. You have only a person contact that you can change information and manage your project. We are responsible also for the domestic international transport, but by all modes, customs clearance and permanent and temporary. Here we have also the loading and unloading exhibitions with forklifts. The insurance that is very important, and also I think is important to emphasize, because we can consider the insurance since we pick up your cargo till the delivery at the venue. So every part of this international logistics, your cargo, you are gonna be safe with us. Here we have the picking up and the packing of your goods if you need, the on-site logistics at fairgrounds worldwide. Oh, I'm sorry. And the warehousing that I told you in the beginning. So all the end-to-end services, we have the expertise to provide you since the beginning to the end of the logistical process. So here we have all our expertise that we can support you, our sector expertise, which means energy, engineer, all of them. But of course, I would like to emphasize life science and healthcare, which is our expertise here, not only in Brazil, but we have, we call here our business development manager that can manage this kind of goods with quality and also with the proper services that it deserves. So I can share with you some customers that we are used to provide the international logistical services. The important ones we have here is Sanofi, Roche, we have Merial, Takeda, Baxter, Nova Nordisk, we have Bayer, BD, DMSG, I'm sorry, I'm not, Takeda here, and we have Carestream, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, and Lilly. So these are the most important customers that usually work with us in all kind of logistics, not only here in Brazil, but also at Orange stations that we can support with end-to-end services. So now I would like to give the floor to my colleague Karina Nantes, that will share with you a part of these shipments that here in JTL we can support you with quality. So Karina is the business development manager here in Brazil, and he has the expertise. Every day she is managing this kind of shipments regarding life science, healthcare, and mainly medical devices. I'll give you the words to Karina.
Hello, everyone. My name is Karina. I'm responsible for life science area at DHL. Life science at DHL comprehends pharmaceuticals, diagnostics, medical devices, medical equipment, and chemical products. Through our global life sciences structure, you have a devoted specialist to handle your shipment, checking all necessary documents and licenses before you start the shipment. And with years of experience in this area, we know each customer is different. Each shipment is unique. So we design our services, incorporated standard filters in our process that are network, quality, compliance. Over, please, next slide, please. Sorry. Thank you. So we design our services to incorporate the standard filters. That means network, quality, compliance, goal chain design, implementation, visibility, and monitoring. So the idea is to have all procedures in our system and a complete SOP to guarantee the success of each shipment. Okay, It's also important to mention that we have AEO certificated, issued by Brazilian Federal Customs. So being a guarantee that our company is reliable to regarding import and export process. Also, when we handle temperature controlled cargo, we monitor the temperature every single minute to avoid deviation and damage to the cargo. So, and its records, it's keep it in a cloud, in a system called Live Connects for future reference as requested by Visa in Brazil. Okay. The next slide, please, Van. We would like to share with you also that we have the same day service, that insurance that your cargo will be shipped in the next flight of the market. And I think that's it. Now it's over to Leonardo, who will talk about the Brazilian customs clearance in Brazil. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sydney. I work with Vanessa, and I'm going to be helping on the procedures for shipping the goods to Brazil. Okay, I'm going to be talking about the basic procedures, because many companies have doubts regarding how that's going to be to ship to Brazil. Will this be difficult or not? What are the necessary documentation or the procedures? What should I do to make sure that the goods, will be shipped properly and then they're going to reach my booth, on the day that I need, and to avoid any kind of problems and headaches. Okay, something that I can advance you is that as long as we have everything, all the paperwork checked in advance, everybody talks to Vanessa, to me, in advance, we're going to make sure that you will not have any kind of problems in shipping to Brazil. This we can guarantee. Brazil can be quite easy as long as you're using the right company, here in Brazil to do this. We have like two ways to ship the goods to Brazil. Okay, one is like you can send like the goods with us being the import of record of the goods by using an invoice and a packing list. Okay, you just have to make sure that this invoice and pack list we have the full details of the cargo. Like the full description of the goods. Okay, this is very important. The serial number is very much important because, serial number is checked by customs when the goods are arriving here. They check, number or letter by letter. So it's very important to put the correct information on the paperwork, okay? Also, the model is very important as well. And of course, the HS code, because based on the HS code, before you ship the goods, okay, when you have determined what are going to be shipped into Brazil, you have an invoice in hand, you send this over to us, and based on the HS code, we're going to go to customs systems and we're going to check whether or not this is going to require an import license to be imported. Usually, most of the medical devices and goods, they require, an import license. If you ship by using an invoice and us as the import of record, we must apply for this import license up to 30 days to get the import license approved. Of course, this can take a little less time, sometimes 15 to 30 days, but 30 days is the safe date. So before you ship, you send us the paperwork. We're gonna check if, as long as everything is fine, okay, we're gonna apply for the license. And once the import license is approved, we're gonna let you know. That's okay, that's approved, and then you can ship the goods to Brazil, okay? We have two, usually you can ship usually by sea or by air. If you ship by air, we're gonna need, like, after the goods arrive in Brazil, we're gonna need about 12 days to make the customs clearance, okay? And if you ship by sea, that's gonna be 20 days. Okay, that takes longer because, the sea freight, it takes longer. It's a more bureaucratic process, because in the port, everything else is a bit slower than if you do this in the airport, okay? So that's one of the options we have, by shipping by invoice, or Brazil also accepts the ATA carnet. It's been a few years that we've been accepting this, and this makes everything easier. The process is a bit faster than by using an invoice. the procedure is pretty much the same, but the only difference is you're gonna, once you have the carnet ready, you're gonna have to send those email copy of the carnet. We're gonna be checking, and of course, the same information you're gonna have to have on the invoice, you must have this on the carnet as well, like the serial number, the model, and also the thing is, I didn't advise, but used or new items. For example, if the goods are used, if you have been used this equipment in other shows, we're gonna also need to apply for an import license for used items. So any used item to enter in Brazil needs an import license. This is a different import license than the Ministry of Health and Visa regulatory agency. For example, if you have like a medical device and it's a used item, we're going to need to apply for 2 import licenses. One for the medical, okay, agency, and another one for the used items, okay, which is the SAC, is the agency who regulates this. But if you use the carnet, it's a lot easier because we apply for the import license after the goods arrive. So after the goods arrive, okay, we're going to apply for this, and usually it takes 6 days after arrival for the import license to be approved, okay? And the deadlines for these are a bit shorter, okay? It takes 10 days for air freight and should be like 18 days for the sea freight for after the arrival to make the customs clearance. Okay, this is basically the procedures for these 2 ways to make the importation in Brazil, okay? Also, we have some, forbidden actions, something that you must not do to ship the goods to Brazil, okay? As a personal baggage, we do not recommend you, do not do this, do not, hand carry goods, don't do this. You may have serious problems when you get at the airport. Even if you don't have it, in case you can pass through immigration or customs at the airport, by the time you get to the show, usually the Anvisa, which is the Ministry of Health in Brazil, like Anvisa is like the FDA in the States, in the United States, okay? They usually go to the show site and they ask for you to show them the import license. And if, for example, if you had a carry, you did not declare anything, and they are gonna ask you for this, you may have a big problem with them. So that's why we do not recommend to do this as personal baggage, okay? But courier, of course, this cannot happen as well. Courier should happen only for like paperwork or stuff like this, but never for medical device. Because courier companies, they cannot clear, medical devices, okay? Also, you cannot send undeclared items. Every single item that you put inside the boxes, you must declare, okay? And you have to be very detailed because Brazilian customs, they are very strict. So, as long as you have the full details and everything is correct, you will not have a problem. But if you put something and do not declare it, this can be a problem, delay the clearance, cause us to pay penalties and fines, okay? And also, any electronic equipment or device must have serial number and model and brand. This is mandatory in here, okay? This is mandatory. Something that everybody must bear in mind when shipping to Brazil. Most of the medical devices must have import license. So we apply for this before or after, but we need to have the import license. It's mandatory, okay? As I said before, Ministry of Health, which is in Brazil is Anvisa, an agency in Brazil, they will visit the venue and will request for this. So you have to be careful with this. Also, when we make the customs clearance, customs and Ministry of Health, they will check the goods. Okay, they check the brand, the serial number, just to make sure that when you ship the goods back to your origin or to another country or to another show, we're going to be sending the same equipment. Okay, so that's very important. And for example, in case Ministry of Health goes to the show and you do not have the import license, the goods will be confiscated. They will take the goods away from you, and that's a big problem. Okay, and that's what we want to avoid. That's why we're trying to clarify as much as possible, so that you can be aware of the procedures in here. Okay, and another thing in Brazil, we have an agency who regulates all kinds of importations. Okay, so I'm just waiting for the next slide. Which is Anvisa. As I told you before, Anvisa here in Brazil is a regulatory agency. They approve all kinds of importation, like food, cosmetics, tobacco, or medical devices. For these goods to be imported or definitive or temporary, for even for the shows, you need this agency to give the okay to approve the importation of the goods. Pretty much similar to the FDA in the United States. You know, this is their role here in Brazil. Okay, so these are the companies you're gonna have to talk. We are gonna be applying for the import license. So by the time the goods arrive, we're gonna be checking the goods at the airport or the port to make sure everything is okay. Okay. So for this is so far pretty much of the procedures. Of course, you may have any other doubts, and you can direct this to Vanessa or to myself, and we're gonna be very glad to reply any questions you have.
Sidney, Karina, and Vanessa, I thank you for all the information. Again, we are going to send the presentations by email to everybody. And for those who didn't pre-register, please leave your email so we can send to you the presentations. I want to welcome now Maiki from Knoll, that he's going to talk about the registration process from the different categories and products.
Okay, thank you. Let me also thank you very much for having this opportunity to participate today. And a special thank you, of course, for Medical Fair, for EMI Brazil, and also to our partners here, DHL and Show Fridays, really to making a great event today, I think, even if we have these difficult times, but as you can see, even if it's difficult, we find ways to make business and to reach our customers and help them over these difficult times. We decided today to create a presentation to understand our clients better, to how to enter the Brazilian market with your medical device. We experienced a lot of questions in the past, so we decided to put together some slides really to explain every important steps that are necessary and different to enter the Brazilian market. And I will present you during this presentation some options, and you can choose after that which one is the most appropriate one for you. But first of all, I think it's important to understand the difference a bit more. Just a few words to Knoll. Knoll is a company acting more than 20 years now in the regulatory field, and was founded by Mr. Knoll Sr. more than 20 years ago. And our mission is really to help our customer, even if it's a complex regulatory question, to solve it and market their device as quick as possible. We are acting not only in medical devices, we are also helping customers in different regulatory fields, for example, cosmetics, animal health, pharmaceuticals, crop protection, biocides, chemicals. And this is often an advantage because a medical device can also be sometimes regulated by other regulations. Example, biocides and disinfectants, for example, they can be both depending on the intended use of the device, just to give an example. And of course, to facilitate the access to the different markets globally, we are always there where our customers are. If you have questions in the United States, you will find our teams in the US. If it's in Asia, for example, in China, Japan, or in South America now, you will find an office there and we can help you locally with our locally experienced teams. So now let's talk a bit about the options that you have if you wanted to enter the Brazilian market with your medical device. The basic concept is you need somebody legally responsible for your device in Brazil, in the market. This can be either through a distributor, you can have a Brazilian registration holder, or the most complex way, you found simply a company here in Brazil. I have this experience behind me, and I can really say this founding a company in Brazil is really a complex and time-consuming endeavor. I think I would recommend, if it's the first time for you to enter the Brazilian market, really choose one of the first options, having a distributor or a Brazilian registration holder. And I also will only describe you these both ways, because founding a company in Brazil is a very complex process and involves many, many steps, many agencies here in Brazil, depending on the type of product you want to produce in Brazil. Let's talk about the distributor. Here you can see all the different steps that are necessary to regulate your device on the market. Many steps are not relevant for you in the beginning because it's linked to your distributor. The idea is you have your company, you're a foreign manufacturer, and the distributor is responsible for you in the Brazilian market. He, for example, is involved in the first two steps, basically the company operating permits. This is not related to you. This is related to the distributor. These are local licenses. These are necessary that he's authorized to distribute the product in the Brazilian market. What is linked to you is these are the quality management requirements and the Brazilian Good Manufacturing Practice certifications. This is something that you as a foreign manufacturer need to obtain. The distributor as well, but he is already prepared for it because he already has this operating permits. The foreign manufacturer needs to apply for the Brazilian quality management requirements. And basically, you have two options to receive the certification. The most common way so far was that you simply apply it in Visa to conduct an audit. But more and more, as these worlds globalizing more and more, you might have heard about the MDSAP program, the Medical Device Single Audit Program. And Brazil is one member of this program. That means you just simply make one audit and you include the Brazilian requirements within these audit. And this would be the simplest way for you to cover these requirements. Then another important step is that depending on your product, you need some certain product certificates. Many products in Brazil, they need additional certifications. This is important to understand because many foreign manufacturers think they just need to deal with Anvisa and sending all their information to Anvisa, and that's enough. That isn't the case. You need to take care. Many products need additional product certification before. For example, you're dealing with Inmetro certificates or Anatel. Inmetro, for example, if you're thinking about, many think about electromedical devices, but also, for example, medical gloves or syringes, they also need to receive a Inmetro certification. Anatel is more related to devices with radio frequency signals, simply devices with Bluetooth connections or wireless connections, they need to receive an Anatel certificate. With some of these product certificates, you can also receive out of Brazil. For example, in test laboratories, they are accredited and accepted through the Inmetro, but not all of them. That means in many cases, you really need to test your device in Brazil to receive this product certificate. It really depends on your product. And also, what is involved with this, you are not doing this directly at the Inmetro if you need to test. You're looking for a certification body here in Brazil. For example, companies who already regulated the device in Europe, they are dealing with notified bodies. It's a very similar concept. Let's say it's a notified body here in Brazil. Somebody you choose that is able to certify your product, that is and receive the necessary certification to regulate your device in Brazil. If this is done, the distributor takes all your information, all your test certificates, your quality management certification, and he's putting together the technical documentation that you need to regulate your product in Brazil. The difference is here where you need to take care is he's just putting together the documentation. Anything what is missing or anything what needs to be done, he will not cover. He's coming back to you and asking for the appropriate information to complete the technical documentation. As you can see, it's the concept is very similar. In Brazil, you have 4 risk classes. You need to take care. The first 2 ones are very simple, very short. Registration pass. The higher risk ones, as in many countries in the world, it's a more complex process, more time consuming, but usually this is, in this case, the distributor is taking care of it. After that, he is sending it to Envisor for approval, and if the approval of the Envisor your product has been approved, you are able to sell the products in Brazil. Maybe it's important also to mention, even Anvisa improved a lot of processes. This is, if you think maybe 10 years ago, it was a very complex endeavor, but even dealing with really much paperwork today, almost everything is electronically. You hand in all your documentation electronically. It's pretty much straightforward, a much faster process now, but you need to take care. It's still, the language is a barrier. You can already hand in some documentation in English, but the most of it needs to be in local language, means in Portuguese. This is sometimes an issue. It's more difficult to overcome. That's basically it for if you choose a distributor as your market entry. But what is the advantage? Let's talk about this. The positive aspect is why I choose a distributor is that as he is handling all the registration work for you, usually the cost per registration is a bit lower, because how usually this works, the process, you're looking for a distributor in Brazil and he is covering the cost of the registration. He will not charge it to you. But what he will do is he will negotiate a different price lobby with your product and put another margin on the product for him to cover these costs in the future. This is definitely an advantage you need to consider if you enter the market, because in a long term, you pay much more than the registration costs. The process is pretty fast because the distributor usually have all the local licenses that are required, and of course he knows the country specific requirements. You know, he speaks the language. He has experience usually with these type of products that you're dealing with, and knows all the connections and, let's say, difficulties that can appear during the registration process. The only thing what you need to know in this case is certification is always bound, in this case, to the distributor. That means if one day you decide, I want another distributor or want to simply change the distributor, then you have the problem. You need to make a new registration of your product. And this makes it, in this case, very unflexible, or the flexibility is very low for you, as especially in the beginning, you're probably looking for someone who's just simply selling your product, but as your market grows, your market share grows in the market, maybe you decide to change something in this aspect, having more distributors, then you need to think about this in the beginning. That this involves much more costs if you need to change it or have another registration. The second option is a bit more flexible. This is the Brazilian registration holder. The idea is you have one registration holder in the country, and the registration holder is licensing or giving permissions to other distributors to sell your device on the market. The concept is the same. The license is bound to the registration holder, and he's representing you in the country. But you are not limited to one distributor. You can license as many as you wish, or of course, choose freely the distributor that is that covers your needs and can grow. This network can grow with your needs in the future. Just to see this as well, all the steps involved are very similar. You just replace the distributor with the Brazilian registration holder. The steps are exactly the same. You still have the same requirements. You need the quality management you need to cover the quality management requirements. You need to have your product certifications. The Brazilian registration holder is helping you with all the technical documentation or local licenses or any questions that might appear, and helps you with the approval. And after that, you can market your device. Important is always the Brazilian registration holder is responsible for you on the market. Let's see the positive aspects. You have high flexibility. That means you can choose the distributor. You are not having a certificate bound to one distributor. You are very flexible in at every time point, depending on your needs. If you're growing very fast, you can change or can license more distributors. The Brazilian registration holder also knows the market pretty well. And what is very important as well is excellent problem-solving skills, because the focus of a distributor is selling devices, but you can be sure one day you will have a problem with your device on the market, and you want that your device and the problem related with your device will be solved very, very quickly. Because if you're growing, what you don't need is a bad reputation in the market. If you have questions or problems with the device on the market and you don't solve them, then over the short period of time, nobody is really believing more in your product and your reputation is going bad. And this is something what you need to consider if you go in the market. The only issue, of course, is that you need to pay the Brazilian registration holders in the beginning. This is the thing you need to bear in mind. But usually these costs are in comparisons with what you are paying for the distributor is much lower, and you pay an annual fee to take care of your registration. Yeah, that's basically it. You find us in the heart of São Paulo in the new business district. And if you have any questions, for example, as all the registration paths that are available here in Brazil, or any other product related issues, just feel free, drop us an email, give us a call, either directly in Brazil or in the other offices, representing globally. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. I think it was very informative, and I do like the way that you are putting all the steps and positive sides and negative sides. So before we start with questions that we are already receiving here, I am I like to do lists. So I did a list of things that I wanted to remind you all. So first, don't forget to send your email if you want to receive the presentations, and if you are not pre-registered. If you're pre-registered, we already have your email. But I think 3 points are very important to point out again. So the first one is don't bring your goods in your luggage. That's a no for Brazil. A lot of people think Brazilians are fun, are flexible. I can bring my goods in my luggage. I will go to the show. I will exhibit my product, and then it's going to be fine. It won't. You can come here. You can do even crimes, but don't bring your goods with you. You have to choose a way to do it properly. It's not very hard. Just have someone to do it for you. It doesn't have to be us. It doesn't have to be DHL. It doesn't even have an registration part to be Kino. I would like you to be, because they are our partners, of course. But find a company in Brazil that you rely, check their background and do it by them, so you won't have problems at the show. Anvisa checks each booth. Maybe they don't have a lot of jobs, but they have a lot of free time inside the show. The other thing is that for me, at the last years, it has been a surprise. Shipment to come with your goods in Brazil by ship, it was to be much cheaper. Now it's almost the same price as airplanes, and people don't believe that. So before you ship your goods, ask quotations. Get both quotations, that you can see that to fly your goods in can be cheaper, faster, and more secure. Do the math before, because if you pay once in a good way, you don't have to pay twice. And the third thing that I think it's very important is this new procedure called ATA Carnet, ATA Carnet, can help a lot. In Brazil, we didn't have that before the Olympic Games. We started having that in 2016. And it's a document that you take for your goods for a whole year. And a lot of countries, they accept that. So if you're planning to join us in a lot of our shows around the world from the Medical Alliance, it's better to get a ATA Carnet. It's faster, and you can take in a 1 year period to other countries as well. So these are things I think you should have in mind before you take the decision of how to go to the show and which kind of documentation to do it. So I think this was what I wanted to point it out before the questions. And I think we have some questions Leonardo or Sidney wanted to answer. We had a comment from Pakistan. Leo?
Oi.
Okay. If he's talking about the procedures to make the importation, as I had mentioned on the presentation, if the goods are being shipped by invoice, okay, we need to apply for import license. That's gonna take 30 days. Before the goods, before you ship the goods to Brazil, we're gonna need about 30 days to have the import license approved. This is only for the show, for the temporary importation, okay? If you're gonna ship the goods with ATA Carnet, we do not need to get the import license before you ship. You can ship, and after the arrival, that's gonna take up to 6 days for us to get the import license approved. But this is only for temporary importation. When we're talking about DHL, we can only do like temporary importation for the goods, okay? Definitive importation is only for giveaway material, like pens or brochures, leaflets, or T-shirts and anything else. Of course, each item you should consult us before you ship, because of course some items also require import license, even for the definitive importation, like T-shirts as well. But this is the standard procedures. If you're going to ship by invoice, 30 days before you ship, we're going to apply and get the import license approved before you ship. Then we're going to give the green light to ship the goods. If this is ATA Carnet, 6 days after the arrival. That's quite simple. Okay.
We got here a question asking about prices to ship goods to Brazil. So in this case here was one disinfectant. The thing is that to answer prices, it's complicated because we need the description of the product. So please feel free to send us the description, how much its weight, and the price, and the category, the registration, and we will send you the quotation by email with no things attached, just so you have an idea how much it would cost and which kind of license it takes to enter and the time to arrive here. So please send this by email, that we can always send you a quotation. Not us, we are from the show, but DHL can do it and Kino can do it as well for the registration. I'm reading and talking at the same time, so sorry if I... again, we got the shipment. So maybe, I think it's the same thing. Vanessa, do you want to talk a little bit about costs of shipment?
Hi. You mean the question from what's the cost of registration for surgical gloves and annual fees is going through Brazilian registration holder? I think basically the most important thing, as Malu said, so that we can provide you a quote. So you need, first of all, the weight, the dimensions, the CIF value of the goods, and the harmonized code, as Sydney said as well in the presentation. So if you have, I know that the more important thing mainly today in our current scenario is how much it is, how much. I know it's very important to know about it, but so that we can provide you the correct information. So we cannot say a value, we cannot provide you a general value here in Brazil. In Brazil, it's different of all other parts of the world, from the other continents. For example, in Europe, in Asia, you can provide, for example, a standard price. Here we are not able. You must have at least the weight, the dimensions, the value of the goods, that means the CIF goods with the total freight, and also the harmonized code. So based on the harmonized code and all these other items that I told you, we can quote and provide you the specific value and how much it costs to bring it from your country to Brazil to the venue. I think it is.
We have a question here that I think it's for Mikey. In case of a company carrying different formulations, 87, are you compelled to register the formulation or the different trade names that can be sold under different trade names belonging to a different distributor?
It's very related to, I think, to chemical products, I guess.
Yeah.
So it depends a bit. Yes, it is possible, but depending very strongly on the kind of formulants and then products that you want to register in Brazil, because depending on the formulation itself, on each substance, there are different regulations that you need to take care of. So this is something, if you really want to be sure, then it makes more sense just to send us maybe the formulations that we can give a more detailed answer on that.
Yeah, I think that the main thing is that we have so many different categories of products and prices and where they're coming from, isn't it? So it makes a little bit hard to talk about costs. But from this question, the general, I think it's yes, you can have the different kind of products under different distributions as well, no?
For sure.
Yeah.
It's possible, depending on how you enter the market. If you, it's very similar to medical devices as well. Depending on who has the registration, who holds the certification.
Good. So we don't have for now more questions. I wanted to, if you have more questions, please feel free to send us. We are still here, but I wanted to thank you all again for being here. And I wanted to leave a message for all of you. Remember, in a crisis, it comes lots of opportunities. So if you want to enter a country in the best moment, it's when there is a crisis, because it's when people are looking for new solutions. It's where the local companies are disappearing. That's the truth. And then it's a way of you entering the country. It's not easy to enter when everything is going well. So take this advantage, think about it. We know it's a very crazy situation, but we have to be optimistic and we have to keep planning things. So put in our agenda, 16th and 17th of September, we wait you all in Brazil. Even if you're not exhibitor, you are more than welcome to come, contact us, that we are gonna be there to talk to you. I wanna thank all my friends that were here today, my colleagues, giving explanations, and I hope to see you all soon. I think we are ending that. If someone wants to say anything else. So no, I'm the one who talks most. That's always the case. So thank you all again. We are gonna now put this movie online on YouTube. We're gonna send the link as well. So if you want to share, Please share with your friends, colleagues, enemies. Share with them that we want to make the information more accessible, that it's not that hard to enter Brazil. Feel free to contact us, and I hope everybody has a good day and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.